Well, let's look at the first one. I love what Aquinas says about this. He says the first thing, you're sorrowful, here's what you should do. And it sounds so obvious that, like, why even put this in the list? Is it just because you wanted to get to 5? But the first thing he says is do something pleasurable. And he's got this great line in the Summa where he says, and maybe you have it in front of you, but it's something to the effect of, what sleep is to a weary body, pleasure is to a weary soul or to sadness. You're tired, you find an end in rest, which rejuvenates you. You're sad, what do? You have to experience some legitimate pleasure that you can then rest in to rejuvenate you.
Yeah, there's so many interesting layers to that because, of course, sleep matches directly to weariness, whereas pleasure, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, doesn't match exactly to the loss of my mother. And he goes through some of those distinctions as well, that the species of the pleasure and the species of the sorrow may not be the same. And so even the effect may not be, sort of one-to-one. And even though the pleasure may sort of cause the sorrow to recede for a time, the sorrow may reemerge as the pleasure dissipates. So just to set up that structure, at the same time, I think it's very consoling for anybody who has ever had comfort food, has tried to ease their pain by having a bowl of ice cream. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. St. Thomas recognized.
Yeah. Come on. You're in the airport. There's that low-level anxiety that everybody feels at the airport. And you see, I've never had this. I've never seen the drawer of this, but Cinnabon or Chick-fil-A, which I definitely see the appeal of. And you just think, I just want to inhale a number 3 meal and everything will be okay. And sometimes it is.
Well, the pleasure causes the sorrow to recede. So the problem is the pleasure also recedes and the sorrow reemerges depending on what it is. It might help us wait out the space in the airport.
Right.
And that can be fine. Although the reason we're anxious in the airport may be a more deeply seated reason of our uncertainty about life and feeling sort of threatened in the world in general. And but certain kinds of pleasure can cause some of those points of sorrow to recede. And that can be very helpful. It's like if we can give ourselves a little bit of breathing room. This is one of the places where I have certainly encouraged or supported the use of medication with direct ease, that sometimes when there can be a real negative feedback loop that someone is going through something, like if my anxiety causes me anxiety, if my pain causes me pain, and that it's like, how do you ever get out of it? I can't, and that has a way of overtaking our minds. We don't see clearly, we can't process well, and then it's like, how do you ever get some breathing room to take a positive step, to change something in your life, to address a problem? It's so heavy. And so sometimes, medication, sometimes a certain kind of pleasure to get your mind off of it can give you a little bit of breathing room to address what the cause of the sorrow is.
I love that. Let's talk about the difference between leisure and dissociation, because there are activities which give us a form of pleasure but don't restore us. They drain us. It might be okay occasionally to come home from a hard day at work, grab a beer, and just kind of zone out to TV. I don't know, maybe that's appropriate sometimes. You tell me. But we all know the experience of doom scrolling or engaging in 3 different activities, all of which should be restful, but we find ourselves interiorly fragmented. And when it's all said and done, we feel just weary and wrecked. I have that experience. Well, I have the opposite experience. I have the recreation experience when I, let's say, which I hope to do this weekend, leave my phone and computer here at the studio, go home and have a weekend without anything vying for my attention. I find that that's the best way for me just to restore. So when Aquinas says pleasure, how do we distinguish between dissociative activities and recreational activities?
Hallow is the #1 Catholic prayer and meditation app to deepen your spiritual life anytime, anywhere. Go to hallow.com/MattFrad to get the first 3 months for free.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different distinctions that need to be made. Again, I'm talking about eating food as a way of at least settling sorrow and disconnecting in certain ways. I mean, presumably we're watching entertainment because we enjoy it. It is a form of pleasure.
It can be. Sometimes.
It can be.
I remember once my wife nearly died. She was in the hospital years ago. She was in the ICU. She was in the hospital for a month, and I'm with my kids. And I remember once I opened up my laptop lid, opened up Netflix, and I think I spent 45 minutes just scrolling through the options and then shut it and went to bed. And that was not enjoyable. And even if I had to watch something, it wouldn't have been enjoyable. Do you know that experience? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that kind of numbing, you use the word dissociation, which is really separating, well, it's a form of numbing. It's not feeling anything. It's finding some way to occupy so that I don't feel the sorrow. The sorrow feels too heavy. I don't know how to go there. And maybe I can't go there in the sense that we can have sorrow that's overwhelming. And that's, again, the importance of relationships. We'll get down to that at number 3, but it is, I found it's the most essential remedy in the sense that having someone to hold pain with me is a way of reducing the pain enough to really look at it. And I think, it's so beautiful. We celebrate September 14th and 15th, the triumph of the cross and the sorrowful Virgin, Our Lady's position at the foot of the cross, being able to carry and hold the pain and communicate love is something so essential. I mean, it's just at the heart of our salvation. Jesus suffering for us, but Mary also fully receiving that and entering into it. So anyway, all of that is to say, sometimes we numb or dissociate. Again, I want to remove shame from that.
Okay.
If you've done some doom scrolling or you've tried to disconnect in different ways, if you have a hard time looking at what's causing the pain, sometimes that's the best that we can do until I think, being able to bring someone else into it over time to be able to look at things is necessary.
Okay, well, that's good. But let's get practical, though. Someone right now is watching this and like, okay, pleasure. That's way too broad. You've talked about getting your head above water by engaging in what we might call trivial pleasures that are certainly a relief. But practically speaking, what is he talking about?
Well, I think to actually remedy the sorrow.
He doesn't mean pornography. He doesn't mean get drunk.
Right. That's doing pursuing another evil.
But these things could be are clearly pleasurable. That's why we do it. So why not those things?
Well, and fair enough. Do they cause? So he's talking about what causes the sorrow to be reduced. He's not necessarily prescribing patterns of healthy behavior in life in general. He's acknowledging the impact of different passions on other passions. So will using pornography cause your sorrow to be reduced? Well, yeah, actually, for the period of time that you're engaging in that pleasure. Is it going to make it worse for countless reasons, not least of which it's terribly sinful? Well, yes. But again, I think there might be a little bit of a consolation for somebody who finds themselves trapped in that loop. What are you actually doing? Well, you're trying to self-medicate. We use that term. You're trying to apply a certain pleasure to overcome a certain sorrow. I have a lot of compassion for that. The genre, I suppose, of engaging in pleasure to overcome sorrow involves, a whole variety of activities. What's going to be the long-term positive impact from something? So I'm not suggesting we have ice cream to constantly eat down our pleasure either. And certainly, again, ice cream is not sinful. Engaging in sinful behaviors is going to increase the sorrow eventually. But temporarily, it's going to reduce it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but do you find that people know what brings them pleasure? If you were chatting with someone who was kind of sad and you were trying to give this practical application to their life, what would you say? What makes you come alive? What gives you relief? How would you go about helping someone decide what pleasure to try to engage in?
Yeah, those are great questions. And they can be hard questions to engage when someone is sad. The best thing is to take a little inventory when we're at our best and we can see most clearly.
Yeah.
And then know what are some of the healthy activities, going for a walk, exercising, we'll get to that, a good conversation with a friend, engaging in, an activity that we produce something or achieve something. Maybe that's a hobby or even getting some work done, completing some emails. There are a number of things that we can find some satisfaction in, and that can lift our mood a bit.
Thank you very much for watching that Pints with Aquinas clip. If you like it, do me a favor, click like and subscribe, and please offer a Hail Mary for the work of Pints with Aquinas and all the people we're trying to reach. God bless you.